You guys, this next song, I'm pretty stoked about. I don't know if stoked is in still, but I just made it in, so I'm still pretty stoked about it. So this next song of this next volume, so this is now volume 3 of Wedding Day. It's called God I Believe, parentheses, steady. And you guys, this song was written this last fall, 2019, right after, well, first I have to back up. I got to tell you a little story about our twin boys, okay? So we had a good friend and sister in the Lord. Her name was Tara. Her name is Tara. And she goes to our church here in Oswego, Rivers Edge Fellowship. And one day, we knew that we were having a baby, but we hadn't been into the doctor yet. And Tara, asked my wife, what's going on? You don't look so good. And she didn't realize that Mary was pregnant. And so Mary told her and everything. And Tara lit up because she had a dream about this pregnancy. And so when we asked more details, Tara told us that she basically had this dream that she felt like the Lord gave to her that said that we had twins. And so we didn't know. So we're like, okay, cool. And she was so humble and sweet about it. She wasn't, she just was very humble. She's like, I don't want you guys to be sad if it wasn't, but just, I really believe that the Lord is giving you these children and just to raise up an army for him. And so there's plenty of love for you. There's going to be plenty of love for these babies too in your family. Like, you're going to be able to do it. So I was so ministered to, right? And you better believe when we went to the doctor and we found out that they were actually twins in her womb, we were so amazed by God and just the fact that he provided this friend who had this dream and shared it with us so that we didn't have to freak out that now we're going to have, we love our kids, but it was kind of like a shock, like, holy smokes. But we could actually instead respond with this awe and reverence of the goodness of God. So we kind of had this promise from the Lord that it was going to be okay. At the end of the pregnancy, my wife developed preeclampsia, which can be really, really dangerous. And so they had to take the babies, a little bit early. It wasn't. She went very, very far in the pregnancy, but it was time to take them out because her health was kind of, not going well. But then following the delivery, her blood pressure had skyrocketed, and we're talking consistently was in the 180s. And if you know anything about blood pressure, that's not really where it should be. So this was kind of a tremendously scary time for us because we had these new babies in our household and our other kids to care for, and yet we had to fear. We didn't have to fear, but it was temptation to be fearful for her health, and we had been to the ER and all this stuff. And so it got to a point where we were really desperate. One night, her blood pressure had skyrocketed to 200. And the doctor had basically said that she had kind of gone past that time postpartum where blood pressure should be back to normal. So at this point, it was probably going to be just a constant new blood pressure issue. And I didn't want to just accept that because I know what the Lord said, that these babies were a blessing. And I just have a hard time, and this is where I'm at now, guys. This is where I stand now. I have a hard time when God says something and it's a blessing that there's something behind it that is, an ailment or something that is not good. And so we just were desperate. And one night we were praying and just crying out to the Lord that he would heal her. And I share this with such humility and love because I know that there's situations where this hasn't happened. And I know that can be a really painful experience, but I'm telling you what happened in our house. And we prayed, and as we prayed, I just saw this picture of the Lord come down, and he was dressed like a physician. And he leaned over and he kissed my wife on her forehead. And at that point, I knew it was going to be okay. And we had just taken her blood pressure. It was 200. And we give her a medicine usually that helps bring it down, but a lot of times it doesn't work fast at all. It takes hours. But after that, we took her blood pressure, and within 15 minutes, it had dropped down to 120. It was normal again. And I'm telling you what, we just started to pray every single day. God, we trust you. God, we trust you. And it has nothing to do with what we said or anything. It has everything to do with his faithfulness. And in this period of time, there was like friends who would come alongside of us and would encourage us and stuff. But sometimes, sometimes people don't see what you see, and they want to encourage you, but maybe the encouragement doesn't like lead you to the Lord, but it leads you to a place of fear. Like sometimes I would hear like, maybe like God doesn't really owe you anything. Like he could heal, but he doesn't owe it to you. And I actually completely agree with that. He does not owe me anything. He gave me everything through salvation. But the thing that statement misses is that God is a good father. He desires so much to pour out. And so many times we don't ask because we don't have because we don't ask. And so as I was hearing this, I love the people who are trying to help. But I had to say, I know what you're saying, and I know he doesn't owe me. But I also know his heart, and I know what he said. And so when you get to the bridge of God, I believe, and we get to the part that says, it talks about like, though I'm the only one who sees and believes what I see and believe, I'm still going to believe. Sometimes it feels like we're the only one who sees it. But I want to encourage you, if you know it's God, go after it. Now, I also want to really, really encourage you into this too. It is good and it's healthy to have godly counsel and to ask people to pray alongside of you about big decisions in your life. But what I'm saying is you need to be obedient to the Lord and you need to hear his voice. And so whatever that thing is in your life where you feel like God has called you to, and you have full confidence, yes, share, ask people to pray, but sometimes you've got to really make sure that you are like after the Lord first and foremost. So I pray that this song would encourage you.
Steady, eyes fixed on you.